camera on.
Person
Somehow the world will change for me and be so wonderful. Live life. I know somehow we're gonna get there.
Are we starting? Should we call someone?
Sure, are we starting?
Yeah.
Bro,
yeah, we're starting.
There's like a referral system I can use for shit like that, right?
Nothing about.
What?
Huh?
Alright.
Face fuck Roland.
Okay, stop. Alright. I get I'm waking up. Face.
The game's starting now.
Please, I'm getting a bit.
So, the year is 2002. A man has an idea for a video game where wizards cast spells using mouse gestures. That man is Jonathan Blow.
Fucking God.
6 years later, this man makes Braid. Braid is a game. Is everyone alright?
Yeah.
Alright.
I've heard of Braid.
I didn't know we're gonna get to talk about Braid today.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Braid today. Who's familiar with Braid? 2 people? Holy shit!
Is it the game
3
where, like,
people.
you're trying to solve a thing and you can time travel? Is it that one?
That one, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fucking shocked that like all your hands didn't go up. This is one of the biggest indie games of
I
its
remember
year.
watching the video of Soulja Boy playing.
Dog, I was born in 2000.
We will talk about the video of Soldier Boy playing Braid. So Braid is a game, you time travel, you're a boy and you time travel and there are puzzles involved. And it's one of the greatest games of all time because it's really creative and shit and cool. And so what makes it...
Nice prepared.
To Mary! Holy shit, that scared me.
There was a spider.
I'm half awake. I don't care if there's a fucking spider. I'm just coming too, bro.
Liquefied petroleum gas.
I'm just coming too.
Dude, the port's gonna blow up.
And he's just coming too.
I'm too not awake to know if you're joking or not. Now, this Braid game, the game starts on World 2, and the narration tells you that something really fucked up happened before this that you want to go back and fix. So the whole game, you start on World 2, you go to World 3, World 4, whatever, you're messing with time and shit, you're solving time puzzles, everything's lit, you're picking up jigsaw pieces to make like paintings. The whole game has like this oil painting aesthetic, but it also has like this weird Mario vibe where like you're jumping on enemies like they're Goombas, and like enemies, there are
Did you know
pipes
that
everywhere.
Goomba used to be a slur for Italian men?
What?
True.
Okay, thank you.
And there are like pipes everywhere, and then little like plants come out of the pipes and bite you. And it's like, why are there Mario shit in this game and it's all oil painting? That's a little weird, but it's also kind of cool. And then you get to the final world of the game, World 1, which starts you off on level 5, and all of the levels play backwards. All the enemies move backwards, all the projectiles move backwards, and you're like, holy shit. And then you solve that, and you're going backwards through the level, World 1-4, World 1-3, holy shit, World 1-1. The final level of the game, aptly titled Braid. You start off this level, you come in, and there's like a princess who's being carried by a knight, and she like escapes out of his arms as he's like climbing down like this vine, and she says, "Help, help!" And then the knight says something along the lines of, "Get over here," or whatever. And so you start running off, and then the princess starts running away, and you're trying to rescue the princess, and she's like pulling levers to help you keep going, and you're pulling levers to keep the princess keep going, and you're going, and you get to the end of the level, and then you realize all of the levels have been playing in reverse up to this point. Like throughout this world, which means this level has been playing in reverse too, and you see it going forward. You weren't trying to save the princess was running away from you. It goes forward, and every time the princess pulled a lever, it was specifically to keep you away from her. Every time you pulled the lever, it was to trap the princess. And when she gets to the end, the guy's screaming, "Get over here!" and she's screaming, "Help, help!" and he rescues her. You were the bad guy in Braid.
What?
What the shit?
That's fun.
Aren't we talking about Wizard 101?
What?
Huh?
What? Holy shit!
What?
Wait, did you guys think this was a Wizard 101 lecture?
Bitch.
I fucking... Roland, you ignorant slut.
Roland, you didn't
Wait, are you dead serious?
Can we
Wait, no, are you
marry
dead
her?
No!
Oh my
No,
god.
I was excited.
No!
I'm going to kill you.
What?
Sit down, you loser! You don't know true start. You don't even care about Wizard 101.
We shouldn't have let you out of the basement. What's happened to us?
Listen,
This is not what
I'm
I
working
paid
on a
for.
Wizard 101 lecture. Okay, I'll get to it. I was just really tired. I fell asleep halfway to making this board, apparently. I apologize for that.
You forgot the triangle with the circles at the end of them, you motherfucker.
It's not Wizard 101, it's the witness!
Well, you should.
the witness, bro?
So, there's a secret ending to Braid, right? If you pick up, there are 8 stars hidden throughout the game, and they're hidden really fucking well. So, the 8 stars gotten when you get all the other 7, and you get the other 7 by like doing this weird shit that the game doesn't even teach you about. Like you have to juggle a Goomba on your head, continuously die, turn back time, and do that shit like that. There's one puzzle where you have to stand on a cloud for 2 hours to get the final star. And then once you get all these stars, what it does is it changes one of the levers at the end of the game on the last level, which is level 1. To be unaffected by time travel. So you pull the lever, you reverse time so the lever stays pulled, and then this allows you basically to touch the princess. And when you do this, she starts flashing white and explodes.
Oh, that's funny.
Is it because you're moving like faster than time is at that point, and you just came at her with the fastest thing in the fucking known universe?
Maybe. We'll get to that. Well, actually, we'll get to that right now, because that's the end of Braid. There were a lot of theories on what the fuck happened there. The main theory was that the game was about the atomic bomb. There was a bunch of references in the game to like horrible science. There's a quote from one of the people that worked on the atomic bomb. I forgot his name. I wrote him in my notes, but I'm not looking at that shit.
Is it the one that's like, I am become death?
No, it's the one that's like, now we're all sons of bitches.
Oh, okay.
That shit happens.
It was the military general,
Now
not
I
the
am
doctor.
become death.
The opening title screen is like a city on fire, so that's kind of weird. And like, you touching the princess and her exploding, well, bombs explode, like the atomic bomb. And basically...
It's the demon
This bitch
core.
is dry as
It's the demon core, right. And so the idea is that Jonathan Blow got into an interview and was asked if this was what Braid was about. And he was like, no, stop it. There's so much more to this game, and y'all are looking at like these specific details and ignoring all the other parts of this game to get to this conclusion. You need to look at everything. And I forgot to do that for this lecture, but I came to the conclusion that the reason she explodes at the end is because it's a paradox. Like if you think about how this level goes, like you start right here at the end, and then you're moving this way to the beginning,
It's just a normal bug.
and then she's doing the same thing. But if at some point you touch her while you're going backwards,
Oh.
that's not possible. That doesn't work. Space-time is like, what the fuck? Because how did you get to this point? This is where time starts. And if you got over here, well, what happens here? That doesn't make sense. So paradox, she explodes. That's what I think happened. I don't know if that's true. Question?
Comment. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think it's just a matter of if you're moving backwards and she's moving forwards, and then you meet in the middle, and that point becomes essentially nothing because it's, you know, negative force plus positive force.
Well, no, she's moving backwards too because it's time travel that you're manipulating. You're not manipulating her.
I mean, like, that's what I'm saying though. Like, you're moving backwards in time and she's moving forwards in time.
Well, no.
Is that it?
Both of you are moving forwards in time.
Okay.
You've just gone back in time to save her.
Okay. So she is still actively moving, not like the world away and time is stopped.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I thought she was running away from you.
She's running away from you, yes. But if it's going backwards, then it looks like she's trying to be saved by you.
That wasn't a comment, that was a question.
I
Kinda.
think she thought she was onto something.
If the question wasn't.
I see.
It wouldn't be a comment if it weren't a question. That's true. It's a merit.
I know what you
If the
mean.
question were right, if the answer was yes, it would have been a comment.
So that's Braid, right? And this game was big. It came out the same year like Cave Story got on the WiiWare, and somehow this was still like the bigger game of the two, which is insane to think about, right? So this game was so big that it got featured on a little thing called Indie Game the Movie, a documentary about indie game production. And I watched it when I was like between middle school and high school, and I thought it was dope because back then I wanted to make video games, and I'm like, oh, that's just like me for real, right? Let's talk about... No! Oh, yes, you can have chicken. That chicken in there you can have, yes.
There are also fries out here you can have.
And there are fries in there you can have too.
I just want
Chicken?
Alright.
Hi, Toasty.
Alright, indie game the movie, right? This is in part to 3 different indie developers. Jonathan Blow, who made Braid. I'm pointing at the witness for some reason. You have... God damn it. What was the... Edmund McMillan, who made the Super Meat Boy. And Phil Fish, who made Fez. There's a little bit of controversy.
Woo, Fez!
Fez? What did you fucking say?
Woo, Faz.
Woo, Fez? Fez is good, right?
Yeah.
Right?
God.
Right?
Yeah, I said woo.
Okay. I heard a buh sound in there. You better be careful with that. That's what I thought. Yeah, baby! Yeah!
Fez is just ballast but makes sense.
True. So,
Damn.
so there's a little bit of controversy behind this documentary because, as it turns out, part of the conflict that's going on with Phil Fish's segment is that he's working on this game with this other guy called Jason DeGroot, right? But DeGroot decides that he's going to leave game development like a year or 2 in, and that leaves Phil Fish all alone to complete this entire fucking game. And that's really fucking stressful if you're trying to get this game released all on your fucking own. What the fuck am I going to do? Holy shit. And not only that, but he still, like, they didn't sign off the rights completely, so he still technically has some of the rights to Fez. And it's like, holy shit, I need to make sure I get back with him and make sure he gives me the rights back so I can actually, like, make and sell this game that I've been working on for 2 years and I'm now going to work on for the next 5 years because it takes 7 years to make this video game. Holy shit. And so it gets to the point where, like, he's working on the game and he's getting it ready to show off at PAX in 2012 or something. And he's like, I don't even have, like, the right to show this game off yet. What the fuck am I going to do? He's freaking out. Jason DeGroot doesn't even know this is going on. Phil Fish has tried to get in contact with him, but for some reason it hasn't worked out. And then, like, he goes to PAX anyways, and he's like, I'm going to get thrown out of PAX, and this is going to be a shit show. Jason DeGroot shows up and is like, oh shit, sorry man, and signs off the rights.
Then and
Because he
there?
forgot to. What? Then and there, yeah. Like, in the middle of the convention. So the thing was that this whole section sort of frames Jason DeGroot pretty negatively. There's even, like, in the credits it says that he refused interviews. This isn't true. He was never asked to be interviewed to begin with. And this gets more sketchy when you realize the executive producer of the documentary was Phil Fish's new business partner after DeGroot left.
Huh.
So people are like, that's a little weird. That's a little strange. And so there's a little bit of controversy behind the documentary because of that. But one thing I wanted to mention, Ed, you were talking about that video of Soulja Boy playing Braid. So the thing is, that's a clip that shows up in the documentary, and Jonathan Blow responds to it. And Jonathan Blow, like, the way it's filmed is like he's in a dark room with, like, with his silhouette being shined by, like, a windowsill, and he's just contemplating, you know. And he's like, people don't understand Braid. You know, people and it's like being contraposed with Soulja Boy playing it, and it's like, bro, there's not even any points in this game, bro. Watch this, and he's like traveling back and forth through time, and he's like, you know, I've talked with, like, people who write about Braid, and, like, I've left comments, and they don't get it. Like there's something about Braid that people just aren't getting that's really special to me, and no one else really seems to understand.
Soulja Boy, relax.
But it's like going through, like, journalists and stuff who are talking about Braid, and then you see his comment that's like, first of all, I don't get what you mean by subtly. There are several books throughout the game that, yeah, shit like that. So Phil Fish, right, the guy who was very much, like, half of the documentary. What was that?
What are these fucking names?
Is it fish like fish food, the Ben & Jerry's flavor? With an
Like,
PH?
no, like F-I-S-H, like a fish. Phil Fish. Phil Fish, he goes on to work on Fez 2 before quitting game development forever because of the amount of harassment he gets. Edmund McMillan, who you know as the developer of Super Meat Boy, goes on to make Binding of Isaac, a game that is somehow bigger than Super Meat Boy, right?
I never put that together.
I never realized they were the same dude.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now you know. But Jonathan Blow...
No, that makes so much sense.
I didn't know either.
But Jonathan
that makes
Blow...
sense now.
His next game is a little weird. He announces in 2009 that he started work on this and is funding this game out of pocket with all his Braid money that he got. And he's putting so much money into it that if this game isn't successful, then he goes back to his, like, standard of living before Braid happened. Like, that's a lot of fucking money. He starts up a company called Thekla Incorporated. He starts hiring people, and they're all working together.
Oh no.
And they're gonna make a game. And this game is so big that they're developing their own 3D engine to make it on, because it needs its own engine to work. He did. It did. According to Jonathan Blow, it did.
According to Jonathan Blow.
Oh no.
According to the people who reviewed it, it did. So, he's making this game, and people get a reveal in 2010 at Penny Arcade Expo, and it gets an official name, The Witness. It gets an official, people look at it for the first time, and people are confused, because the trailer is nothing but line puzzles.
What?
For a minute straight.
What are line puzzles?
Early
Like, think of like
game
a maze on the back of like a cereal box.
So mazes.
Mazes, but then they'll also incorporate like new mechanics into the maze that you have to like keep track of. Like you'll have to draw a line to bisect this grid so that you can split like the red colors with the blue colors, so they're in different groups. Shit like that. And that's the entire game, according to the trailer. And people were like, but he made the Braid, right? He made Braid. So people are like a little confused. This guy made Braid. He probably knows what he's doing. And, probably, yeah. It turns out, people find out after the expo is over, that the Witness had a playable kiosk at Penny Arcade Expo that he just didn't announce. Now, the reason he didn't announce that there was an actual playable kiosk at the expo was because he wanted there to be as few people in line for it as possible, so the people who were playing it weren't like pressured to go as fast as possible, because it's a puzzle game and he wants you to sit there and think about the puzzles, right?
Okay.
So, the game is being developed. Its initial release date is 2013. It gets delayed, blah, blah, blah. It comes out in 2016, and it's $40.
Sir.
Is it still called The Witness?
It is still called The Witness.
Okay.
It comes out, it's $40. People are like, why the fuck is this game about line puzzles $40? And Jonathan Blow responds, well, actually, it's very similar to the Talos Principle, which is also $40. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's line puzzles.
Also, the Talos Principle is not $40.
The Talos Principle is $40. I looked it up. It's true. I'm the one that did research for this, and you're not.
Hey, Mimi. Oh my god. Okay.
Get it, bitch. Okay.
I'm not looking.
You go.
Alright, how much time do we have on the camera?
17 minutes.
Alright, we have plenty of time.
I guess it was about on sale because I got it for like $19.
Yeah, I got The Witness for $20, so it works out.
Okay.
And I will not.
Can you like teach me? Cause that's terrifying.
After the lecture.
Okay.
What happened? I was paying attention.
After the
That is in a
lecture.
fucking other universe.
Sorry, Roland. Sorry.
No, you're fine, you're fine. I gotta catch my brain up anyway.
Okay, yeah, do that.
Yeah, wake up. You want some bang energy?
Sure, yeah, why
You
not?
don't actually have any. That was the joke.
Performance art aspect of this is so
Thank
cool.
you.
I am extremely entertained by skit art. Maybe this is not what I want.
Just call this a skit.
Opens.
The beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This part's a skit, right?
That was a fucking
See, look,
black
see
box
guys,
show.
this is the genius part, is that this is a line puzzle, and you're like, oh, Spiral, Wizard 101. No, see, because it's a circle at the end, at the beginning. Woo.
Camera.
Alright, so The Witness. Witness comes out, it's $40. People are like, what the fuck? Reviews come out, 10 out of 10 from IGN,
What?
10 out of 10 from Destructoid, 9 out of 10s across the board.
No, you're not.
Averages is like 9.5 or something.
For a line
It has near perfect scores everywhere. Steam reviews, overwhelmingly positive.
Alright.
Line puzzle.
Line puzzles. As I played this game to the end, it is 15 hours of line puzzles.
They needed
Sweet.
okay, so they needed a 3D engine for this.
Yes.
A self-tailored 3D engine.
Yes.
For-
Specifically for this game.
I don't get it.
We'll explain. This
Okay.
might make
9 out of
sense
10
soon.
across the
Did
board.
you like it?
No. I had parts that I enjoyed, but my experience was mostly negative.
Okay.
I would lose interest after 2 puzzles.
I lost interest after 3 puzzles.
Okay.
And then I kept going, and I was at like puzzle 600, and I'm like, why am I doing this again?
As someone who really likes mazes, would I like this?
Maybe?
You like mazes?
Yeah, Tyler.
I don't actually. It's a hard sell. I will describe the witness to you, and if you get interested in this game, maybe it will be worth it. But I'm not going to be describing it like very positively.
Okay, yeah.
So keep that in
That
mind.
makes him happy.
So the witness starts off, you wake up in like a big metal tube, you go out, you complete a line puzzle, and then you do another line puzzle, and then you do a bunch of line puzzles, and you keep that up for 15 hours. And at some point you do a line puzzle that unlocks a box, and outside of the box comes a laser that shoots out at a mountain, and you're like, what the fuck? What? And so you go run up to the mountain, see what's going on, and you see that the mountain needs more lasers pointed at it. So you're like, oh, okay. But on the mountain is another line puzzle, right?
Yeah.
You complete the line puzzle, and it doesn't do anything, and you're like, what the fuck? You look out past the line puzzle onto, like, the horizon below, like, the landscape of this island, and you see a river that's shaped like the line puzzle. You click on the river, and it activates like a line puzzle does. And you realize that if you look at objects a certain way that it looks like a line puzzle, it literally is. There are environmental line puzzles in this game where you have to stand in the right spot to look at them and do a line puzzle.
Okay, that's interesting.
So how do I unlock the secret ending where the whole thing was just Papyrus from Undertale?
That's not a lie, we'll get to that. There's some weird shit in this game.
What?
That's actually an ending, but
Didn't this come out in 2002?
This came out in 2016.
Sorry, my bad. I missed that.
This was thought up in 2002.
Where does this?
Bro, this sounds so cool.
I'm not doing it on purpose.
It's not literally Papyrus, but like there's a secret ending where shit is really fucking weird.
Okay.
So you do a bunch of line puzzles, they're environmental line puzzles. You find these like briefcases that you can open up, and inside of the briefcase is a secret code that you can put. That's a line puzzle, by the way. The code is a line puzzle. And you put that line code into like this underground movie theater, and it plays like a video of a philosopher talking to you about philosophy for like 5 to 60 minutes. And then you sit there and listen to this guy talk about philosophy.
What do they say?
We will get to that. But it's like Richard Feynman and John Burke and like Robert Spira, like friggin' Bob, friggin' Moriarty or some shit.
Moriarty.
So, Tyler, your eyes are lighting up. I believe you know these people.
The first three. I don't think that last one you said right. I don't know who that
Bob
is.
Moriarty or something.
That was
Moriarty is a
Yeah,
Sherlock
his
Holmes
last name
villain.
is Moriarty.
Moriarty?
Really?
Yes.
Bro, that's so cool.
Fucking Chef Moriarty.
Gold star for
What
Jackson.
the fuck are these names, dog?
But yeah, keep going. I'm literally sold.
Yeah, John Burke, Richard Feynman are here.
Next,
Okay?
Benjamin asshole.
To marry.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
All right.
Benjamin asshole.
All right, everybody. I'm taking the gold star away. If you earn
Yeah,
it.
I
fucking
just
wine
had
punch.
quiet for the whole Benjamin asshole shabacle.
Shabongle.
All right. So, by the way, no dialogue in this game. You
Whoa.
walk around this island and there's no dialogue,
How
except
does this dude work on this without getting fucking bored? Jesus.
except there are like tape recorders that are hidden throughout the game, and when you click on them, they're like inspirational quotes from other philosophers. It's not inspirational quotes, but like quotes like ponderance from philosophers.
Like I Divine Cybermancy and the secret philosophy books put out.
Probably, yeah. You're like listening to Sasan and like Heisenberg and shit, and it's like this person's talking about Buddha, and you're like, got it, thank you.
Like Sun Tzu's
Understandable.
hidden
Who's
teaching, do them
Pfizer?
dirty in front of their dad.
So how does this game end? How do you end a game like this? There hasn't even been a story so
You
far.
just stop
oh
playing
shit!
it.
Before I get to the ending of the game, this is a very important element in that there's some Easter egg-y elements to this game.
I love it.
Where if you stand in a certain way, like a mountain looks like a person, and like there are logs that are like stranded on the beach, and if you stand in a certain way, it looks like there are people just laying there with their backs up.
I just realized
There's-
I have seen this game before.
Yeah, it's pretty. The island is really pretty. It has very pretty environments that I love looking at, and they're really pretty. There are puzzles that incorporate like the environment a lot more than what I described. Like there's this whole desert area where you have to like look at the panel a certain way so that the sunlight glares on the panel and shows these scratches in it that are the answer to the line puzzle. And you sort of have to solve the puzzle by finding how to get the sunlight to glare on the screen so you can complete it.
Keep going.
Sorry, keep
All right.
going.
Yeah, and then there are like you go to this grove or something, and like you complete these puzzles based off of like how the shadows of the trees cast onto it. Like you have to avoid the shadows, and then you have more shadows, and then the shadows at some point are like curved, so they're not completely on the thing anymore, and you sort of have to intuit how the puzzle was actually meant to be because the tree got knocked over or something. It's really clever, really cool. I like it a lot. Nice. That's nice. Don't want to do that for 15 hours,
It
though.
sounds like this is a really cool game that could be used being cut down.
Yes, I agree with that. So, ending of the game, right?
No.
You open up the door in the mountain, and it leads to an underground lab where there's like, it looks like Portal. It's like clean and like cleanly,
Like what
whatever
part?
the
What do you
word.
mean for? Oh, like
The facility. It's like big white and like polished up, clean, cleanly, sanitary.
Yeah.
That shit. And you're like doing more line puzzles down here.
But that's
Ooh.
notably aesthetically different than the rest of the island, right?
Yes, very.
Okay.
So like you're like, because this is the first time where you're in a place that has no nature in it at all.
Okay.
And you're like walking around, it's like, ooh, puzzles, line puzzles, ooh, quota, ooh, line puzzles, and then the puzzles are like timed, so you have to do the puzzles in a certain amount of time, and then like the puzzles are on a fucking column, on a pillar, so you have to turn around the pillar to do the fucking puzzles, and then you complete it, and you open the Wonkavator, right? The what? You all seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right?
Yeah, bro, that movie bang, man.
You know the ending where you go on the Wonkavator and it could go in any direction? No!
It's so cool.
I fucking love
You go into the Wonkavator and it flies around the fucking island, and you start looking at the island while more quotes, not quotes, but more like weird inspirational words are being read to you. A bubble in a stream. A flash of light in a summer cloud. A phantom and a dream. And then you realize all the puzzles you've been doing throughout the game are being undone. And then you go to the beginning of the game, and the game closes itself.
No, oh, come on, no.
If you reopen the game, your save file is deleted. What? Yeah! Imagine my shock when I was like, yeah, I gotta get through this game. Let me get the first ending, and then I'll do all the completion stuff later. And then I find out it deleted my save data. And I realized if I wanted to 100% this game, I'd have to start all over from the beginning. Question.
Did you?
So, I had like shit going on. Are we talking about the witness now? I didn't know if we were still talking about Braid or not.
Not Wizard 101 either.
100%ing literally any game, and you just imagine like that shit just fucking goes away. Like all your achievements,
That
fucking
sucks.
everything.
Yeah. And like, imagine if you did that before you even got a chance to do 100%. Like, it was just, let me get the normal ending first, right?
Bye.
It was like, shit.
Lol.
Oh, so,
Howdy.
so you had no idea like that was a thing? Until
No, I didn't know until I finished the game, and I was
Wow.
like, what the fuck? Pranked, literally.
you just walked the prank.
I just walked in, and it was like,
The game closes itself.
The thing is, this is a blessing in disguise, as it turns out, because in order to get the secret ending, you have to complete, you can't complete the opening area, right? You have to, like, stay in the opening area, and if it turns out there's an environmental puzzle in there that you wouldn't have known on your first playthrough, and when you see it, it opens a doorway to a hotel room. In a portal.
But wait, what's stopping you from doing this on your first playthrough?
Nothing but like the knowledge that there are environmental puzzles in this game.
Got it.
So you go through this place, and there are like drawings of line puzzles on paper and like diagrams and sketches and stuff, and you're going through and you're like, woo wee, secret ending, and then you find another tape recorder, but instead of being a quote, it's the credits for the game, because the game didn't have a credit sequence before.
Yeah.
So you're like, ooh wee, credits, ooh wee, and then you go into this dark facility, and then you do another line puzzle, last one in the game, I promise you, and you do this puzzle. And and when you complete it, it turns on the lights, and there's like a photorealistic office space in front of you. And I don't mean like photorealistic as in it looks like you could literally reach in and grab it. I mean it has the grain and quality of like a 720p video or something. And like you can walk around and it like distort, like it looks three-dimensional, like you could walk around in it or something, but you're walking around it and you're like, what the fuck? And then you get to the end, and then the screen goes black. And then the game turns into like found footage of Jonathan Blow waking up from bed, taking off these like things on his wrist, like those little PICCs, like in like sci-fi movies to like put on your brain to be like go into like sleep mode or whatever. You know those movies. And he's like walking around his office and he's like, "Woo! I just finished The Witness." And then you're like looking at this stack of coins and he like flips them over, and then he looks at like the circle on like the circle of like the like bathroom, the bathroom sign is like shaped like a circle or whatever. He's like, whoa. And he's like rubbing the circle and he realizes there's circles within the circles, like the line puzzles in The Witness. And then he's looking around and he sees a box of crackers that are shaped all like circles, and he starts throwing them around the place. And then he goes over and he sees like a dish drying rack and a spoon, and he starts hitting the dishes with his spoon. And then he walks outside to like this nice patio garden, nicer than the one we have here, by the way. This is a nice place.
Wow, way to be an asshole. By the way, your house sucks.
But like, well, this is an office space, so they're like, and this is being paid with Braid money, mind you. So he's like out here in this like nice Zen garden sort of place, and then he falls asleep and the game closes.
Interesting.
It doesn't delete your save file this time, thankfully. But like, you probably didn't get that far in this game.
Why would
when
you
got
even
here.
do that to someone? Like, that's horrible.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of.
That's like the worst.
Well, because it helps you get to the secret ending. Because you wouldn't get here. You wouldn't think to walk all the way back otherwise.
Yeah,
Well, you couldn't
also
do this
with,
if you
like,
finished the opening area.
I would also.
You couldn't get here. You would have had to delete your save file in order to do
I
this.
respect that.
Yeah. I don't.
So like the more you explain it, the more I understand the necessity of like the self-tailored 3D like.
Yeah.
The way you were explaining it, I was like, it's like a white puzzle on a black screen. I'm like, why?
Well, the thing is that all the puzzles are like on iPads in the forests. So you're like walking around and you see like a little iPad screen and you complete it. You walk around the other one, you see like a CRTV, you complete it.
And you did
So
like
it's
you
just
did like
random.
I did not like this game.
Okay.
Because although there are fun elements in this game that I do like, I gotta remind you that it is line puzzles for 15 hours.
Yes.
I played this game for 20. We will get to the nitty gritty of this game.
The missing 5.
You made it 20 hours into a game that you did not like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I plan to 100% it, which I haven't done yet.
Roland, I really respect that. I think
Thank you.
I think, like, on things about Roland I respect, this might be the highest one.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's the
You should read
highest
him
one
all. You might
that
get a kick out of it.
that he didn't like for 20
I
hours.
mean it as a compliment.
Yes, I'm taking it as a compliment.
So I feel like that should put him lower on the list. That he did in fact enjoy Yick. So
I enjoyed Yeek and not this game.
The most respectable
Y2K.
thing Roland has done is played a game for 20 hours.
All right. Well, Yeek wasn't line puzzles for 15 hours now,
Yeah,
was it?
something way worse.
Was it, Ed?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
I would have preferred a line puzzle to Y2K.
Would you have preferred 650 line
Bro, it's-
puzzles?
Yes, because
You had to
I'm
do all
good at
of-
line puzzles.
Are you?
I am.
Have you done the line puzzles in the fucking Witness?
You know what? If you brought it for me, I would. I would
explain to you why I didn't like the Witness, okay? This is a bad game, and it reviewed really well. So why did this game review really well? It has cool elements, right? And if you're okay with doing line puzzles for 15 hours, then cool, right? But I'm not. So why didn't I like this game aside from that? Because that's an obvious example.
because you have bad taste.
Well, there's a problem in this game that, remember how there's no dialogue in it? This means that there's no like tutorial section for how these like symbols in the line puzzles work. In order to solve these puzzles, instead they have little tutorial segments that are supposed to quietly teach you how they work by like slowly introducing you to the rules without explaining them at all. And the problem with that is, if you don't think like Jonathan Blow, you aren't going to get what the rule of the puzzle is, or the rule of the sigil that's on the puzzle. So a good example of this is I've actually talking to like, I've talking to people who've played this game, but I've heard people talk about their experience with the first tutorial segment in the game, which is like these black blocks and these white blocks that are on these puzzles. And the way the game teaches you about them is that you like have to draw lines through the place, and they keep completing, and sometimes they won't and you don't really get it, but some people like come up with a rule that makes sense for them. For me, it was, if you draw a line that's touching a black block, it has to also be touching a white block, and so you have to have both of these going on at the same time. Other people have thought that it's supposed to teach you that white means up and black means down, and you have to go up and down depending on the color of the block. The actual solution is you have to split the maze in half depending on, so you can segregate the black and white blocks.
Oh no.
Interesting. What did you mean by that?
Hey,
So
Roland,
this is
can you
not-
clarify for us.
You have white squares
that's
and you
illegal
have
now.
black
Are
squares.
you implying
and
the
you-
black squares and the white squares need to be separate and that one of them is superior to the other and therefore they cannot coexist?
That's the game maker implying that.
That's the game designer implying that. But also, there are these are just examples. It can be at whatever color, but they have to be separated from each other by a line that you have to draw.
Are you
Oh, so you're the one doing the
brown-
segregation.
So we have to gerrymander.
You have to gerrymander it.
You're gerrymandering.
voluntarily played 20 hours of the game.
of
You were the
segregation?
one drawing that line.
I was not segregating. I was gerrymandering. Okay, there's an important difference.
No, because gerrymandering would show a clear, like,
Cancelled.
it would show clear that they were getting towards the victory of one group.
Well, sometimes there's more of one block than there is of the other block.
However, you're saying that the colors need to be separated entirely.
I'm not taking any more questions.
That's not
Roland's going to
gerrymandering,
fucking
that's
Twitter jail.
segregation, you piece of shit. If the colors are
Okay,
being
and there's like
completely
another puzzle
separated,
that I had trouble with, where like you see this weird triangle symbol, where it's like an upside down Y or whatever, and you're like, oh, what the fuck does that mean? And you complete the puzzle, and it doesn't work, and then it does work, and like,
It's okay, I can move my shit.
so like it tells you failed the puzzle, and then this sigil activates, and you didn't fail the puzzle, and so I was like, okay, I have to do the opposite solution to what I would usually expect, and that doesn't work. And so I'm like, okay, I can mess up once, and I have to mess up once. And then that starts to work until it doesn't. And I'm like, I literally have no clue how the sigil works. And at that point, I had to look up and find out that it does work once, but it has to be in the same section of the puzzle as the one mistake you made. And like, fuck that, right? Like, there was no way I could have figured that out unless I looked it up. Because the sigil doesn't make any sense if I've already come up with an idea of how it works, and then that doesn't work. And I have no clue where to go on from there. That looks like it's gonna, that's precarious, honestly.
That's my cup.
In my head and I saw it fall.
I'm paying attention.
Roland saw the
Why are we doing
I
this?
feel like I'm getting judged really heavily right now when I was just quietly doing something right.
shits, giggles.
I just didn't
So-
expect that.
So
Shits
yeah,
and or giggles.
those puzzles suck. The puzzles in other areas
you can
also
have
get
it all
really
fucking
repetitive.
parents.
Remember that desert segment where you're supposed to like shine the sunlight onto the screen so it glares and whatever? Does everyone remember
Yes.
Okay.
that? Yeah! Hey, thank you for paying attention. Gold stars, both of you.
Ooh.
Now, the thing is, when you complete that puzzle, you do it again, but there's a shadow on the screen. And then you do it again, but there's a bigger shadow on the screen. And then you do it again, but this time the screens are higher up. And then you do it again, but this time the screen is tilted downward slightly. And then you have to do it again.
Is it the same line puzzle with only the environments changing?
This is the same line puzzle in the same environment,
And
but
you
it's
have
just
to lock away the heart of darkness.
yeah. And then you do it again, and then you go underground, and you do it 3 more times. But this time it doesn't even make sense because you have to turn on other lights so the sunlight can shine on where the shadow parts would be. But that's not how sunlight works. Because if the sunlight was casting a shadow on the screen, then getting rid of the shadow wouldn't allow the sunlight to glare on the screen all of a sudden. That's not how sunlight works. And then you have and then you have to do it again. But this time you're underground, and there's a flashlight, and there's water that it's reflecting onto, up onto the thing. And you have to look in the water to see the reflection, to see the glare. And then you have to do it again, but this time you can change the water levels. And then you have to do it again, but this time it's water reflections. And there's like a curvature on the screen.
I remember all this at once. What the?
Because I had to do this and it took 2 hours. Fuck me. Fuck that, right?
Super male.
Like, you're all laughing at that because you have to do this over and over and over again,
you
and I'm really
willingly-
emphasizing how long you have to do this
You
for.
willingly did this. It's,
I did willingly do this,
Yeah.
and you know what?
Do you feel as if you've benefited from this experience? Like,
Not from the desert, no.
Okay.
But I benefited from, like, the overall experience.
So you're
Do you feel
benefiting
as
from
though
the
you grow as a
segregation,
person
huh?
after the
really good one.
Listen, you have to do it to solve the puzzle. It wasn't my choice. I was just following orders.
Just like Biden, he had to vote for segregation. It was about states' rights.
Tyler,
It's a merit.
Orders.
pink
Oh,
o'clock.
beautiful. B-roll shot
pink
right now.
o'clock.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it's what? It's like
pink
8.
hour. I was looking.
You
I
like
was
my
looking-
shirt, by the way? Who likes my
It's
shirt?
usually like
It's cool.
8:14. Oh,
Woo!
it's very
Thank
I was
you.
looking at Roland like when you had it zoomed in on his face. I was like, this is
This
kind of a
started
beautiful
at eight-
shot.
Thank you, Ezri. That's really nice.
8:30 last
That
night.
shows you put your hair down too.
What a guy.
So
But
you're all,
also
you're all,
on
you're all horny.
rain conditions and humidity.
I'm horny.
So yeah, game not very good, game bad. By the way, one thing I forgot to mention, remember those movies that you had to watch in the underground field that had like the philosophers talking? Yeah, there are environmental puzzles in the movies that you have to watch.
Oh, they're timed too because they go away once the movie stops or moves the
Well,
shot.
you can replay the movie, but like they're timed as in you have to like make sure you complete the line puzzle while the thing is still on. So the thing is, there's one talk by a guy named Brian Moriarty on Psalm 46. It's the fourth movie out of 6. See the cleverness in there? And the
Yes.
thing is, it's 1 hour, right? And and the whole movie is just a moon going from like full to like fully dark, like dark side, light side, new moon, full moon, whatever you.
But with him talking under it, right?
With him talking under it. And the thing is, the moon is the start of the line puzzle. It's this little circle over here. The full moon is the start of the circle here. And you have to go behind the movie theater, start the line puzzle with the moon, go all the way to the end.
The hour-long line puzzle?
Yeah! And then you have to wait for the movie to end so you can complete it when it turns new moon. This is not a joke. This is a puzzle in the game.
10 out of 10.
I haven't done it yet because I haven't even found the movie to begin with. But like, I found out about that and that was fucking stupid.
Shaka merch.
This is not a joke. This is not a joke.
We need to discuss Shaka merch.
Shaka merch, dog.
But this creates a running theme of Jonathan Blow putting hour-long puzzles in his games. So when he releases his next game, keep an eye out for that.
No. I will not.
By the way, we'll talk about his next
the
game
offer.
too, because it's really funny.
Get it under my ears.
So,
Okay, now let go.
are you gonna do a Wizard Little lecture?
Damn.
Yeah,
Yo, it's lifting me up.
yeah. It's just this wasn't that.
Yeah, we know.
So, what the fuck's going on with this game? We talked about what's in it. We talked about why it's bad, but let's talk about a little bit about what the fuck is going on in this game, because Jonathan Blow is a big fucking liar, and he lies. I have some quotes from him about the game The Witness that are fragrant lies.
Who is the whistleblower?
Who's the witness?
Is he the
Who's the witness?
Who is the
I'm the witness. I witnessed these nuts.
Where's your
Haha.
I'm really funny. I
I
know.
feel like we're the witness.
You might be the witness. I don't know.
We made along the way.
Where the fuck are these quotes? What the fuck?
That dog wants to get hunted into the
Where the
outer
fuck did I put this shit? What the fuck?
Marty, what the fuck?
That little
What the
white
fuck?
dog barks like really
Did I
early in the
lose
morning
it?
sometimes.
Cameras
If I let-
off. Shut the. So we're gonna get to some slander real quick. So Jonathan Blow, right? Big fucking liar, big fucking doofus. Made Braid and then made a bad game, right? So let's talk about how he describes The Witness on the Steam page.
I love that explanation. I just imagine the fucking like comment on the Steam page is just a bunch of like gibberish.
The Witness is a single-player game in an open world with dozens of locations to explore and over 500 puzzles. This is true. The game respects you as an intelligent player and it treats your time as precious. Fucking lie. So the thing is that there are multiple areas in the game which you have to like stand on a platform and wait for it to move. The platform takes years to get from one location to the other. Remember the puzzle you had to wait there for an hour to complete?
Yeah.
Fuck that, right? That's fucking stupid. There's one puzzle in the game that's a windmill, and there's 3 puzzles attached to it technically, because you have three answers on every fin, and then you have to start off on the 4th fin, right? And you have to wait for the windmill to spin, so you can reach a section where you can wait off of the windmill fins and then go back on it. But I timed how long it takes for the windmill to spin for one full rotation. 1 minute, 6 seconds. You have to wait for the windmill to spin 1 time, sometimes 2 times for each of the answers to the puzzles, right? And if you fail, you have to wait for it to spin again. So every time you mess up, you have to wait another minute for another chance to complete the puzzle. This is fucking stupid. I fucking hate it. And when you are doing the puzzle, you have to sit there and let your line go continuously for a minute. And like, fuck, I hate Jonathan Blow. God.
It adds tension to the puzzle.
No, because I don't want to have to wait another fucking minute to complete the next puzzle. Jonathan Blow. Like, analyze. Alright. The game respects you as an intelligent player. Debatable, considering like it's you could argue that it does because it has hard puzzles and it expects you to finish them, therefore it respects you as intelligence. But however, remember that whole thing about the tutorials not making sense unless you think like Jonathan
Yes.
Blow? Yeah, I disagree with this because you have to think in the same way as the developer in order to complete these puzzles correctly, and if you don't, then you can't because you don't know what the rules are unless you look them up or...
Okay, to be fair, a game treating you like an intelligent person is one of those buzzwords that doesn't really mean anything.
True, that is correct. Did you light a fire? Yeah.
You never knew that?
I mean, I thought we said something about that. I didn't know. I just saw everybody fucking leave and go to the side.
We're using blood magic to curse
interaction
I'm like the Shaka University.
lying to
is I
us.
said, Shaka, you campfire, and then you said, yeah, and then I made a campfire. I'm sorry.
If that's the case, then let's fucking go over there then, dang it.
Yo, we migrated.
Wait, Tyler.
Jonathan Blow can't segregate this.
Okay. Recording.
Oh, everybody, the witness! The witness, right, guys?
Summon the witness.
Who's the witness, though?
It's you. I think it's me.
war?
It's one, you know, it's like we're both the audience
in some weird way.
Let's talk about it, all right? Well, first we got to explain that Jonathan Blow is a liar, right? So we talked about, like, the Steam page and how that's really not true and dumb, right? So let's talk about his quotes talking about the game on stream or whatever, because he's on stream talking about the game and someone mentions a colorblind setting for the game. That would be cool, right? The reason I bring this up is because the reason I found out about the witness was because I watched a review from a guy called Super Bunny Hop. Super Bunny Hop, real cool dude. He does reviews of video games and he played the witness and he did not think of it very favorably. One of his problems was he was solving a puzzle where you have to draw a line from like, it's like a line puzzle and you use a tree as a hint. There's an apple on one of the branches of the tree and the line puzzle looks like the tree, so you draw from like the trunk of the tree to one of the branches, right? Thank you. It's really nice.
Wait, get closer to the fire. That light.
We want the lighting.
Just like campfire story the rest of the lecture.
Hey, I'm trying to set myself on fire real quick.
Do not do that.
Telling spooky ghost stories about Jonathan.
How else has he lied to us? Tell us about this.
Guys, I gotta focus. No, my brain is out of here. I'm not even thinking about the witness.
For the approval of Shaka University.
Alright, the witness. Shit.
We've actually brought you here to execute you.
Yeah, if you don't tell us who the witness is, you're going in.
Alright, we'll explain, but first of all, the reason this is an issue is because the guy who reviewed the witness and was having trouble with that puzzle, he was having trouble with it, and I asked him personally to make sure to confirm this. He was kind enough to respond to my messages to him, was yes, the reason he had this problem was because he has deuteranopia, and he couldn't see the apple differing from the tree, it didn't stand out to him, and so he had trouble with the puzzle. Yes, what? Deuteranopia, colorblindness.
Why didn't you just say that?
Because it's a specific kind of colorblindness that affects him in this situation.
Why didn't you
It's
just
red-green colorblindness.
Now, why didn't you just say that?
Because I'm a lecturer, I gotta be
Roland,
fancy.
as someone, my dad has that, so I appreciate the actual.
Thank you.
I don't.
Gold star to
I
Mary.
don't like it anyway.
vocabulary word.
Oh, there it goes. Fuck.
That's real. I don't know why my brain isn't there right now.
Crazy.
So colorblindness setting would be good because it would make it so this guy could complete this puzzle, right? And I would have been like, oh shoot, this might have been a good game actually when I first saw it. And it turns out Jonathan Blow said no, he won't put a color blindness setting into the game because it's a game about color, and you couldn't add a color blindness setting and have it still be about color.
Why?
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah, what Bowland said.
There are so many ways you can go about having a colorblind setting in the game. It's not just like changing the colors of objects. It can be that, but it's also just making it so people who have color blindness can see things more clearly than they normally would have. You know how in BioShock you have those like hacking puzzles where you have to like click on the green squares and not click on the red squares? People with color blindness when the game first came out couldn't complete those because the red and the green looked exactly the same. Later they added a color blindness feature so that the red parts were striped so that people could tell them apart. So adding like a texture to different objects could work. Just making the apple a plum instead so that it was purple and didn't... Question?
Okay, but this guy is clearly an artist, right? And I'm sure he's put a lot of intent into the balancing and background to the environments. To him, the game is as much a visual work of art as it is an experience. So to modify it in that way would actually take away from the art. So I could see him not wanting to make a colorblind mode in that case. So him saying the game about color, not literally saying color is a main theme, or that I cannot imagine addressing this without changing the color. But what he's saying is, you know, this visual element, this is what it's about, appreciating in this way. So these people cannot appreciate the art anyways. You know, you can't fully do it, so I'm not gonna go through and make a colorblind mode that would ruin it.
Now here's the thing. I'm not saying Jonathan Blow needs to make a colorblind setting for the witness. I'm not saying that the witness has to have a colorblind setting. The only argument I'm making is that it would be overall beneficial to the game if it had a colorblind setting. He doesn't have to make one, the game doesn't need one, but the game wouldn't be harmed if it did have one. And if it was done correctly. There's a way to do it, right? My argument is that it can't be done, against the idea that it can't be done. And that's why Jonathan Blow's a big fat liar doo-doo face.
Yeah.
And I hate his bald head, and he made Braid though, so I guess he's okay.
Oh, so he's actually Jonathan Bald, got you. Okay.
Jonathan Bald!
Good though, because I never heard of it.
We should have
Jonathan Blow made Braid, that Braid
Jonathan Blind.
Jonathan Blind, Jonathan Bald, Jonathan Blow. Jonathan blows because he's a big fat liar. Last thing I want to call him out on before we actually talk about the game.
Take a step closer to the fire.
Like a murderer.
So he's talking about remember those puzzles where you have to get the glare on the sun? He's in like a podcast or something talking about these puzzles, right? And his response is that like a big complaint is that a lot of people just walk around aimlessly and try to figure out how to get the sun to glare on the thing, right? And he says that there is supposed to be a specific thing that you do when you solve the puzzle so you can go to the right place every time. If you look at how the sun shines and how it works with the thing, if you study it long enough, you can figure out how to get to the right place every time, right? Big fucking lie. The thing is, I looked through walkthroughs and guides and Let's Plays and all sorts of videos playing this game, and nobody has mentioned a technique that you can use to go to the right spot at perfectly every time, aside from walking around until you see the light shine on it. So there are two possibilities. One is that these puzzles are meant to be solved using a technique that no one has figured out in 6 years. That's weird. Option number two is his expectation for how you solve these puzzles is you do complex trigonometry and figure out how to stand in the right spot based off of how the panel is turned and how it works with the water and how the water reflects onto it and what the level of the water is, which no one can fucking do. Because no one is Math Girl or the fucking... What was the girl?
Yeah, I'm
no one's Fantastic Girl. No one can beat the math monster. That's not something we can do.
I'm math non-binary.
Mikayla exclusive reference.
I'm math non-binary.
That's the show she's working on right now.
1001011.
She works in tech in like plays.
Wonder how many times we.
So stupid, bad game. Fucking hate it, but it has a meaning, right? There has to be some meaning to all this madness that puts it all together. Why the fuck are all these quotes about philosophers and shit? Why are there like statues of people all over the fucking place?
Do you know?
How come when you look at like the mountain from afar, it looks like a woman praying sideways? Whoa! It's a frog!
Oh my god! You're not touch the fire, dude.
Have you seen? Have you people never seen a fucking frog?
I thought it was an ash at first.
I thought it was a mouse.
I didn't know what it was.
Moving around so like.
Come on, baby.
Whoa, dude! Vaughn exclusive moment. This is why you watch Shaka University, all of the Shaka University lectures.
Tonight,
I know The Witness is boring.
Tonight,
The Witness isn't boring.
an attempt was made on my life. Frog.
You guys think we get age restricted because of me?
Frog.
Did the frog go in the grass?
Okay, that actually is so funny. I thought like a piece of like ash fell off the fire and then he just started fucking booking it towards me.
He jumped on my fucking foot, dude.
That was his tail, not the frog.
Whoa, dude! Alright.
Bro, I'd never seen a frog before.
What does the witness mean? What is this game even about?
What is it about?
So I originally looked through videos talking about what it was about, and everyone was like, see, it's about looking at things. Because they get, what the fuck?
Wait from that shit.
I'm gonna catch it.
It's so big.
Yo, the whole guys, I get it, fire cool, alright.
Fire.
This is the most confusing.
It's a game about noticing things and looking at things from a different perspective.
It's a game
because literally your perspective changes how the puzzles work and how all these little elements work together. And you have to look at things, and it's called The Witness, so it's obviously about looking at things. I looked through interviews with Jonathan Blow, and he says that the game is about trying to understand the world and how impossible that is.
So you are a witness.
You're the witness.
I guess you did create a world that is as cruel as impossible as the one we live in.
Correct. So let's get into it, right? Because there are a lot of puzzles in this game where you're just supposed to meditate on a specific concept. I keep bringing up the desert example because you sit there and think about how light will shine on a screen, and you start like meditating on the concept of light on a reflective surface, and you think more about this, and you keep thinking about it because it's a repetitive, dull task, and you're just meditating on this concept, and then you get to the end. Did you learn anything? Did you understand the world better? Not really. I mean,
is that how it's meant to be taken, or is that how you do it?
That's how I've interpreted it, and based off of what Jonathan Blow says, I believe this is how he's interpreting it as well.
Did you like actually feel that, or is that just what you observed it to like?
I felt it without knowing I felt it. Like this is in retrospect that I realized, you know, I was doing that, right?
Yeah,
I just want to kill everything.
Yeah, and then there are like, you know how like when you look around the place and you see all these different objects, and when you look at them from a different angle, they turn into a different object. Does that mean anything? I mean, that's the literal case of pareidolia. Pareidolia, where like you're looking at an object and pattern recognition tells you that it's something else. Like how Vaughn thought like the frog was an ash, and when it was moving, he panicked.
Wait.
That's an example of pareidolia.
Wait, isn't that the human brain like recognizing faces or like facial features and like in trees and shit?
Exactly.
Isn't that just for faces?
Not just for faces, but for objects in general, like pattern recognition in general,
gotcha.
messing with you, making you think there's a threat when there isn't.
Amogus.
Amogus is a good example of pareidolia.
Yo, like lost. Oh
so really, you can find all these elements of people like hailing the sun and dying or whatever, people carrying these boxes, and it doesn't really mean anything because it's all just like you looking at a rock from a specific angle. Like, does that really tell you anything about the island, about people who lived on the island? Not really, right?
That's a good.
Oh god, just like shit flying everywhere.
Yeah, Ed.
Distracted then.
What?
They put cardboard in it.
Nothing, I'm just
Why are you looking at me like that?
So remember those philosophical talks in the movies that I mentioned and did not go into? We're gonna go into them now, because the first one's from a guy called John Burke.
Filming.
Alright, and that's why we don't play with fire.
That's why we
now, back to, what the fuck was I talking? Braid, films, right, Witness, you're right, Gold Star.
Yay.
Films, right. So the first film is by this guy called James Burke. Tyler, you mentioned you've heard of this guy?
James Burke.
John Burke, I might have gotten his name wrong.
Keep going.
You've heard of Richard Feynman? Someone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
First one's by James Burke, and James Burke is talking about how art will tell you nothing about the world because it's all just an interpretation from someone else. That's the general gist, and he goes on to talk about the specifics of that for like 5 minutes, but that's basically what you need to understand. The next one is from Richard Feynman, and Richard Feynman is talking about how you can study like the chemical compounds of like snowflakes. You can study like the anatomical, like atom shapes, whatever the fuck they're called, chemical whatever, and you can study exactly what makes a snowflake. But we all know what a snowflake is already, so it doesn't really help us that much. There's another one by this guy called Rupert Spira. I think I got his name wrong, maybe, I don't fucking know. Rupert Spira, and he's talking about like the world in the perspective of spiritualism, and he's going on in this insane rambling that doesn't make any sense, and at some point he just says, I'm bringing no new information to this meeting. I'm bringing no new dialogue to this meeting. So this is a perspective from someone who doesn't make any sense at all. And every single one of these videos is talking about the nature of the universe and how to look at the world, more specifically how not to look at the world. Because all of them are like these different perspectives and you get nowhere from it. And the overall answer is that you can't just understand the world. We can understand pieces of it. Like we understand like fucking engineering, right? Like you want to make a bridge? We're really good at that, right? You can make a bridge and you can make it work, but does that tell you anything about the greater whole of the world? Not really. You understand one piece of it, which is how gravity works and physics and all that shit. You could study the world from the perspective of like how it looks, like the beauty of it, how the flowers look and whatever. And do you really get anything from that? Do you really understand how trees work or like how the universe works from studying how this leaf works? Not really. There's this one moment in The Witness that was probably my favorite part of the whole experience. And it's when you complete those tree puzzles I was talking about earlier with like the apple and the colorblindness issue. You could go through the section, and when you complete it, a door opens up to another section. You get nothing from this, by the way, except for this little entryway. And when you enter, there are like drawings of like orthopedic sketches of like veins of like a human like respiratory system, and like how like the little insides of our veins and arteries are sort of shaped like a tree. And you sort of notice this like pattern between like trees and veins and how they look combined together, but that doesn't really tell you anything about them. Like, are veins like trees now? Are veins and trees somehow related? Not really, but you can connect these two in your head visually and get something out of it, I guess. And the idea of like trying to connect like these points together to find some greater secret of the world is a very heavy concept that is explored in The Witness. And I think that's what the game is supposed to be about. It's about exploring these like disparate concepts to an like extreme degree, like solving line puzzles for 15 hours and gaining nothing from it. When you beat the game, it deletes your save file. And when you beat the game on the secret ending, you just find out that it was a game made by a person who is now obsessed with circles.
Why?
So, why not?
Okay, sorry.
Why not even, huh?
My bad, dog.
Why not just fucking make a game about line puzzles for 15 hours?
We're gonna get hit with like domestic abuse like calls.
Please, everything
So-
okay now?
What? Sorry. Two things I want to mention, two end notes I want to mention before I wrap things up. One is that Jonathan Blow has been working on his third game for about 6 years now. I believe it's going to come out in 2024 because it usually takes 8 years to make these sorts of games. According to Jonathan Blow, at least. This game is going to be nothing but Sokoban puzzles, which are block sliding puzzles.
Make a block sliding puzzle of your parents' divorce.
Oh my god.
Can you look at this in plot and tell me what you see?
I see block sliding puzzles for 15 goddamn hours.
I definitely see what you mean by the picture. I've seen the like picture of the lungs next to the picture of the tree shape comparison in my spiritual circles,
Yeah.
which is similar like meditation type things, like the doing the game 15 times or like for 150 hours or whatever it was, and then it deleting, like, because at the end you have to beat the game, you escape the game. It's very synchronicity, Buddhisty. That's what it reminds me of.
Question.
In that same vein, I like how, in that same vein, I like how the general answer for questions like that, like why does it look similar? Why is it that your lungs and trees look similar? And the answer being because that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
If you want to get a bunch of something spread out in a small area, you would start it in a large tube that became increasingly small ones to disperse it evenly.
Right, what are we talking about?
We're talking
Veins.
about how veins and lungs and trees have the same general structure,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is large thing at the start that branches out into a bunch of tiny bits. And that's because surface area.
Right,
Yeah.
Sokoban puzzles, right?
Well, yes, you can explain it with your surface area, but you can also say fun synchronicity, and it's just different vocabulary words,
Yeah, it's the
like
same
as above, so
fucking
below.
This is a lecture on
Like-
The Witness.
That's just the
Now
best
anyways-
shape.
now
That's just the
anyways-
best shape to do this thing.
Now anyways, continuing. I watched him talk about this new game he's working on a little bit, not too much, and he's mentioned that it currently already has more puzzles than The Witness has. Like, they already has 750 puzzles in this game about pushing blocks, and he plans for there to be 1,000.
Wow.
Fucking stop, please. I'm good. I don't need 1,000 block sliding puzzles. I played Baba Is You. I'm fine, really.
I think he has a vision.
I think he has a vision. I think he has a vision impairment. He needs higher glasses, better glasses.
I think he knows
which you can get
something.
from glassesusa.com. Save 50% off code Shaka at checkout.
I think there's a truth that he knows but is unable to share with us.
Maybe he's seen God. Maybe he's actually Tupac. Watch the Tupac lecture.
Okay, did you get to your second end note?
No, I haven't. The second end note is that The Witness is 6 years old and no one really cares about this game anymore, right?
I do.
Wrong.
Mikayla, you're not going to remember this game in 4 days.
I know.
So,
right now,
as soon as, like, last week, there was a game that came out called The Looker. What the guys are you doing? The Looker is a parody of The Witness, and it's free on Steam. I haven't played it yet, but I plan to. For Shaka University content. What?
Is it better?
I haven't played it yet, so I don't know, but it's making fun of The Witness, so I'm going to be having a lot of fun with it. The whole point is that it's like line puzzles like in The Witness, but like it's literally just like a cereal box maze, like literally, and like you can just draw a line around the whole thing and complete it that way, and it starts playing around like with these funny concepts about like having to fucking, it's funny. It's like
parody games are underrated.
Parody games are underrated, and I haven't played The Looker yet, but I will be live on stream on Shaka University.
Wait.
This is an ad. Go watch me play The Looker live on the Shaka U Twitch channel.
This is a
are we gonna make a Twitch channel? This is news to me.
Yeah.
All right.
If we do a Shaka U Twitch channel, can I do my Persona, my Persona 5 Royal playthrough on it?
Oh, go the fuck ahead.
Okay.
Sure thing.
I just beat Kamoshida on Persona 5, my Persona 5 Royal save.
we could do a Twitch bathtub.
This is my Shaka
100 subs to Shaka U hot tub stream.
We have 100 subs.
We'll be playing Persona 5 Royale. We'll be playing Wizard 101.
1,000 subs, Shaka U Beach episode.
If we get 1,000 Twitch subs,
that sounds so fucking fun.
episode.
We're not promising any of this.
This is Shaka University. Subscribe to our Twitch channel. We'll do all of this content live.
Okay, wait. I want to talk more about The Witness.
That's it. That's all about The Witness.
I have some things to say.
Wait, who's the witness? Did we ever figure it out?
No.
The Witness was no one, because no one's witnessing shit.
I witnessed.
I witnessed these nuts.
I feel like the guy who made this game is obviously kind of an artsy shit. Because, like, he makes Braid and then makes this whole thing about how nobody understands it, and then he uses a shit ton of money to make an artsy experiential thing that he can because he made Braid, and now he can run around and do weird shit for the rest of his life, and good for him. The game itself, yeah, very much does feel Eastern in thought, because you keep talking about how there's no point, right? Like, there's a secret ending and you think, okay, now there's gonna be the story hook or the explanation or fucking something. And you get there and there's not. You keep going and all there is sheer experience. And I think that's what the game's about, partially, is just the sheer presence, right? And understanding that you can't fully understand this tree without being forced gameplay-wise to see it from all these different angles. Or, like, you see the glare on the screen, but you see it in a whole new way when you understand that it's a gameplay element. And really learning to see this world in all these different angles and thinking about it, and the line puzzle being a very easy way to train your brain to re-see something. So that's cool. And oh, I was going somewhere with this. It was making fun of the game ultimately. Eastern theme. Oh, the other thing I thought he was really going for in this game was the idea of perception, right? So all the philosophers are talking about how the world is influenced by your perception and yada yada yada. Well, this is a world truly through the mind of this kind of crazy, fucked up, artsy guy, right? And I think a lot of smart people tend to think of the world through puzzles, especially game makers. I feel like it's really easy to get to a point in your life where you constantly gamify everything. Think about these line puzzles literally helping you do daily tasks like open drawers or get through. And so in one way, I also think this is understanding a slice of the world through his eyes, but understanding the entirety and depth of it. And I think this is much more of an art piece than a game, and as a result, I don't think player enjoyment was prioritized. And I think that's why you had a hard time with it, and why it still was rated well. Because, like, there are films that I love, like Lawrence of Arabia, Space Odyssey, right? I don't want to fucking watch that right now. Dude, they are boring films. Or, like, the Stan Brakhage shit, where it's, like, Dog Man Star, or Man Star Dog or some shit, where it's like him doing flashing colors for 90 minutes. I like that movie. It's really good. It's really well thought out and aesthetically brilliant, but it's still fucking painful. And I feel like that's what this game is. Would you agree with that?
I think that's a good summation of what this game is like. While you were talking about that, that reminded me of one element I didn't talk about the witness on, and I feel like it's a good end note for it, because the final movie that you get in this game is a clip from an actual movie called Ny'Aja. I don't know if you've heard of this.
I have not.
So I don't know what the movie's about, but the clip shows this guy, he's in like a bog and there's smoke coming up, and he's trying to light this candle and walk from one end of the bog to the other. And every time he does it, the candle goes out, and he debates lighting it again, but then he walks all the way back to the starting point of the bog, lights the candle and goes back. And that's the clip of the movie. And when I first saw it, my thought was that it was about like, oh, you solved the witness, but did you do it with a guide or not? Did you cheat? Did you cheat yourself out of this experience? And for me, it was like, yeah, because I kind of had to. I didn't really know how to get through this game without a guide. But in reflection of that, I think it's about how much of a waste of time it would be to just keep going back and light this candle just for some, like, personal validation that you want. Like, nobody would have known that I completed The Witness with a guide if I didn't tell you people in this lecture. And there are people who've played The Witness on their own, and we don't know if they played with a guide or not. We'll only know if they tell us they did play with a guide, and if they told us they didn't, we just have to believe them unless we found evidence otherwise. So in reality, why do you care if you beat the game with a guide or not?
Yeah, exactly. That's something I feel like I learned. You should play the game in the way it brings the most to you, and if giving a guide would make it less frustrating, fuck it, look it up.
Yeah, and I feel like the idea of like this guy carrying this candle all the way to the end is like a futile effort. Because if he does it, if he makes it to the end of that candle, he has this internal validation, like congratulations, I did it, and he feels happy about himself. But he didn't learn anything differently. He didn't really do anything unique. He didn't really evolve as a person at all. He just carried the candle to the end of the bog.
Well, I feel like that's about the game, though. Like, this is an arduous game to play, right?
Yes, it's line puzzles for 15 hours.
It's trying to teach you how to take this experience. Like, you should not feel like I carried this candle to the end. I beat this game. Look at me, I'm so fucking cool. I beat Dark Souls 2. Yeah. You know? You should just take the experience as is. You should not feel this pride or accomplishment, or because that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong though, because he has related his game to Elden Ring. Shaka University, everyone.